and National Association of Telecom Subscribers, NATCOMS, have kicked against the move. Zimbabwe Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube have announced that the country will double the royalty rate it charges mining companies on the platinum group metals they produce to 5% from January 2023 in a bid to increase government revenues. Zimbabwe is the third largest producer of platinum after South Africa and Russia, with major miners Anglo-American Platinum, Impala Platinum and Sibanye Stillwater operating there. Presenting a mid-term budget in Parliament on, Ncube said government income from the mining industry was low due to a generous royalty regime on some major minerals. According to him, a royalty rate of 5%, which is in line with other platinum-producing countries in Africa, is proposed with effect from January 1, 2023. The International Criminal Court (ICC) has issued a warrant for the arrest of a Central African rebel leader, Mr. Nuruddin Adam, for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed during the country's civil strife in 2013. He is wanted for crimes he allegedly committed while he was the country's security minister. The crimes include torture, imprisonment, persecution, enforced disappearance and cruel treatment at detention centers run by the then ruling regime. Mr. Adam is the de facto leader of the Popular Front for the Renaissance of the Central African Republic, a rebel group that emerged out of the mainly Muslim Saleka alliance in 2014. The warrant was originally issued under seal in January 2019, but ICC judges had now ordered it to be unsealed. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has met with the Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Audrey Azoulay, as part of his visit to France, the second and last leg of his European tour. During the meeting, the Crown Prince and Mr. Azoulay discussed cultural initiatives led by Saudi Arabia and the Kingdom's mutual cooperation with UNESCO, a specialized agency of the United Nations, and ways to enhance cultural relations. The meeting was attended by Minister of Culture and Chairman of the National Committee for Education, Science and Culture, Prince Badr bin Abdullah, Princess Aifat bin Abdulaziz, Saudi Arabia's permanent representative to the UNESCO, and General Supervisor for Cultural Affairs and International Relations at the Ministry of Culture, Rakan Al-Touk. It will be recalled that in April this year, Saudi Arabia committed $25 million to UNESCO strategy and actions for the preservation of heritage. The Crown Prince will also at the meeting discuss issues of common interest with the French leadership. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation. Ilea Wiye Okebale Oshobo. Now amid news message. When everyone works hard, that the nation can record a sustainable growth. Contribute your quota. Of the Texas Elementary School, where a gunman went on a rampage in May, has been reinstated to her position. The principal, Ms. Mande Gutierrez, was placed on administrative leave with pay by the superintendent of the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Hall, Harrell, after a report on an investigation by a Texas Legislative Committee found that she knew nothing about security issues around this school. Ms. Gutierrez has not responded publicly to the investigation report. The report, which marked the most exhaustive attempt so far to determine what went wrong on May 24th, said systemic failures and poor leadership had contributed to the death toll. Report says at least 19 school children and 2 adults were killed by the 18-year-old gunman who was shot and killed by the police. Kentucky Governor Mr. Andy Beshear has announced that 8 people who got in a flash flood in eastern Kentucky are expected to reach double digits as water continues to rise. Governor Beshear has declared a state of emergency in 6 counties. The governor added that it may take years to repair the damages. The publication quoting the governor reported that the flood has left 24,000 households without power in eastern Kentucky. The governor, Mr. Beshear, stressed that it will be difficult to find fresh water in the flood-affected areas, while he assured that drinking water will be supplied in trucks. In Moscow, 8 people died in a blaze in a 15-story building overnight after a fire alarm malfunctioned. Report says the fire erupted in the building in the southeastern district, while an agency investigating criminal acts claimed that 4 people were hospitalized. Emergency services said the blaze broke out on the ground floor of the building, adding that the flames were doused soon after midnight and that more than 200 people were evacuated. And here again are the highlights of the world at once. In Nigeria, telecommunication subscribers may need to pay more for calls, data and SMS as federal government has concluded plans to impose 5% excise duty on all telecommunications services. Zimbabwe Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube have announced that the country will double the royalty rate it charges mining companies on the platinum group metals they produce to 5% from January 2023 in a bid to increase government revenues. In Mexico, 8 people died in a blaze in a 15-story building overnight after a fire alarm malfunctioned. That was The World at Noon, edited by Nathaniel Oyegoke and delivered by Titi Lokpe Ajiboye. News Talk today by Oluwatoyin Yusuf takes us on a voyage round historical perspectives of Prophet Muhammad's migration called Hijrah from Mecca to Medina and the significance of Hijrah.
Hijrah literally means migration, moving away from areas of discomfort to those of comfort. Deeply, however, Hijrah means steering clear of haram to halal, vacating vices for virtues, taking a leave of what Allah forbids to what He sanctions. Prophet Muhammad had spent the first 4 years of his life among his people in Mecca, and they all knew he was of a modest character, very trustworthy and honest, such that they gave him Al-Amin as an epithet. Al-Amin means the honest one. However, at age 40, when the Prophet received a clear message of prophethood through angel Jibril, as contained in Quran chapter 96 verse 1-5. The people of Mecca rose against him. They could not imagine that a man born and raised amongst them could be the chosen one. This is explained in chapter 98 verse 1 of the Quran. The prophethood of Muhammad was neither accidental nor a fluke. In addition to being divine, it was in confirmation of the prayer request placed before God by Prophet Ibrahim that a prophet be raised among Arabs through the lineage of Ismail, as explained in the Quran. Following Prophet Muhammad's proclamation of prophethood, terrible adversaries began. He and his very few followers were ostracized, humiliated, and tortured for their belief in one God. Unlike the prophets before him, such as Noah, Lot, Shuaib, Musa, whose people and adversaries were tortured by God, Muhammad did not ask for Allah's malediction on his enemies. Rather, he believed future generations will raise the banner of Islam. And today, from one man, Muhammad, Islam has continued to expand beyond the shores of the Arabia. When the torture faced by his followers grew day by day, the Prophet allowed 16 of his followers to proceed on the first Hijrah in Islam to Abyssinia, known as Ethiopia. That was in the 7th month, Rajab, of the 5th year of prophethood. Not long after, the second group of Muslims also proceeded on Hijrah to the same Abyssinia, now Ethiopia, with 83 men and 19 women. However, on the 8th day of the 3rd month, Rabiul Awwal, which was equivalent to the 23rd of September, year 622, Prophet Muhammad led hundreds of his followers on the final and major Hijrah in Islam, signaling the commencement of the Islamic calendar with full recognition. The Prophet and his people first landed in Quba, a village near Medina, where they spent 4 days, and the Prophet laid the foundation of the first mosque in the first year of Hijrah. It is called Mosque of Quba, standing on the same spot till today. The Prophet was given a rousing welcome in Medina, his mother's town, away from the hostilities in Mecca, his own place of birth. We cannot conclude this piece of Hijrah without mentioning some milestones in the first 11 years of Hijrah. It was in the first year that the Prophet's mosque in Medina was built. Fasting in the month of Ramadan was proclaimed by Allah in the 2nd year. In the 3rd year, Allah decreed alcohols as haram. Dry ablution, tayammum, was proclaimed in the 4th year. Hajj to Mecca and Medina became the 5th pillar of Islam in the 6th year of Hijrah. In the 8th year, the Prophet took the control of Mecca and forgave all the enemies that sent him out of the place in the first instance. Abu Bakr, the Prophet's right-hand man, did his Hajj in the 9th year of Hijrah. The Prophet performed his last Hajj in the 10th year of Hijrah, and his son Ibrahim also died the same year. Prophet Muhammad answered the call of Allah in the 11th year of Hijrah, and his daughter Fatima also died 6 months after in the same year. Muslims in Notion will gather start tomorrow morning at Fakunle Comprehensive High School, Osogbo, where Governor Adegboyega Oyetola will play host, while the Grand Imam of the state, Sheikh Musa Animashaun, will lead other clerics to the celebration of this year Hijrah. It has to be made clear that marking the new calendar year Hijrah 1444 with lectures, symposia, colloquium is neither an innovation nor a haram, but a way of giving recognition to the Islamic year-round calendar.
That news talk extracts the significance of the Islamic year Hijrah as the new year 1444 begins. It was written by Oluwatoyin Yusuf. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening to The World at Noon. Good afternoon.
It's entertaining, it's educating, really informative, qualitative news as it breaks. It's OSBC Radio 2, 104.5 FM. Numero uno south of the Sahara, voice of the West.